In this video I wanted to do a new page with encoders and decoders, like to encode to base64 or decode it, the same for URL encoding and decoding, and I'm going to be using a component to do that, so I'm going to call it converter, and it's basically having a input field of type text, and it's going to bind its value to a encode string. This is the first one. Then I'm going to have a button that is going to be called encode. I'm going to have a second button that is going to be called, yes, you guessed it, decode. And I'm going to need another one with the result. So after having this, I still need to add the function here. I can do on click and say on click it's going to encode, and actually I don't need this, and sorry, I need to create it, create method, yes, and here it will be exactly the same. On click it's going to do a decode. So in this component is going to be used multiple times. That's why it looks like this. I still need to do this add here, so that it creates the variables, the properties, I mean. And the same here. So after having this, what I'm going to do is I still need to know the encoding and decoding functions. So I'm going to write two properties, a function that receives a string and returns a string, and it's going to be called encode func for function, and just the same for a decode function. So this component has no idea what it's going to be using as encoding or decoding functions, and when it should encode, I just write encode, call the encode function on the encode string, and just place it on the decode string, just like this. You could also do it in one step, like this, and I can say that the encode string is like decode function from the decode string. And like this, I just have to create a page, and now I can use it multiple times. So I can call it converters. Yes, it's well written. And here it's quite easy. I just have to write something like converter, and then give it the give it the function that it should use to encode and decode. So for instance, if I want to encode to convert to base64, I'm going to need this one here. Yes, import it, and I still need this. This is the encoding function, and if I need to decode, missing here this. So, and now if I want to decode from base64 to a normal string, to a not base64 encoded string, I have to use the decode function and just decode it. So like this. And I can use it multiple times. So now I have a page called converters. I think I didn't do a page actually, so I have to add here page and say converters. Just like this with counters, I actually have to do a slash, and I'm going to write it small. So now I can go to the menu and I will add the page by saying this is a title, converters, and it has to be on converters. Just like this, and if I start it, now I'll be able to come to this page and it's duplicated. So I can say something like this and it will be encoded to base64. And if I delete this and do a decode, it will decode it back to a string, to not encoded, not base64 encoded string. So and now it will be quite easy to, I'm just doing a cleanup because the indentation is not, it's doing a cleanup of the whole project. Okay, works for me. So if I now go back to converters, I can see that it has a title and the second title is coming from here. I don't need this, but I need a title, otherwise I don't know anymore which converter I'm using. So I'm just trying to write at title, and by doing this I can write property on top, the parameter attribute on top of it, and it's going to be given from the parent page. So I can come to the parent page and say the title of this one is base64. I now can just do it like this and say I want HTML encoding, actually URL encoding and decoding, and to do that I'll need to use something else, system.net web utility URL encode, and we are going to do, I'm going to do exactly the same for decode, just like this. URL decode, and I can also, as I said, do the same for HTML, and then instead of URL encode I'm going to do HTML encode and HTML decode. So, and if I start the page, the app actually, it is going to look like this, and I don't bother to make it pretty. So if I now do the encoding, it encodes to URL format, and for instance if I have HTML with this character, it's going to encode it back to this one, and if I delete these ones, it's going to decode to the correct format, to the correct string. And I think that's all I wanted to do for today. So if you liked the video, I hope that you like it and maybe give me a comment. Until now I still didn't have any comments from anyone. Yeah, please leave a comment, and if you like the video, like the video. Bye.